Celebrating 30 years of phenomenal trend forecasting. 5 times a week, Monday through Friday. Here's Gerald Celente with today's trends in the news.
Hi, this is Gerald Celente, and here we are at the Trends Research Institute up here in Colonial Kingston, New York. And today I'm honored to have with us someone who's been so instrumental in my life in so many different ways. You know, every day is part of what I do. I thank the ancestors for all that they've given me, because the way I look at it, I'm just DNA of them, and I couldn't be me without them. So after the ancestors and all my great aunts and uncles, my parents, and great aunts and uncles, I would say the person that influenced me the most in helping to put my life together and putting my career on its path is John Perkins, who heads attackproof.com. In the upcoming Trends Journal, there's going to be a piece, The Martial Art of Trend Forecasting. Because, as you know, as Trends Journal subscribers and listening to Trends in the News, you know, I talk about everything that's going on in the world. I talk about the economy, geopolitics, consumer goods, retail sales, missteps, misspoken, misspent, and all of those other two-bit whores out there that the media keeps using to hide up the criminality of what goes on around the world. So it's not one-dimensional. And that's why what we do at the Trends Research Institute is so different than anybody else. And it's the same thing with close combat that John Perkins teaches. There's no form. You know, it's not this kind of stuff, you know. Hey, it don't work like that. No, it doesn't work like that at all. And what John gave me, he gave me the strength to be myself, the strength to believe in myself, and not cower to power. And as you well know, when I complain each day about what's going on, and I tell people, how could you vote Democrat or Republican? How could you look up to these jerks? And that's the whole purpose of trend forecasting, is really not only to look at the trends that are coming about, but so that you could do something about the future, so you could change the future. Because when enough people find the truth within themselves, they don't listen to the lies from the political mafia. And so when I talk about form and style, and you've seen all of these shows, you know, these Taekwondo things, and even in this mixed martial arts stuff, it ain't real. I mean, you got to stop at certain things. You know, you can't take the cat's eyes out, bite out his carotid artery, you know, or other little things to stop the action from going the wrong way. And that reminds me of a story about Francois. Yeah, that's right. Francois was a Taekwondo champion in France. He was a policeman. And I used to date a very wonderful woman, Marie-Pierre Astier. And so I used to go down to the city all the time and go to Trois Jeans, and they were friends with Jean-Georges, a whole group of French people that were in the city. And I met her brother, Francois. And one of the guys at Trois Jeans told me the story one day, and Francois told it to me later on. They were both judo champions. This guy was a judo champion at Trois Jeans, and of course, Francois was a Taekwondo champion. And one day, he was a policeman. He later became one of the bodyguards, the left shoulder for Jacques Chirac in Mitterrand in France. And I'm telling you this part of the story because through Marie-Pierre, John Perkins and the woman he was seeing at the time went over to France and to the palace where John helped train these guys a bit, a little different style of fighting. So here's what happened. Francois was leaving the police headquarters, walking to his car. And 4 Tunisian guys come out of nowhere. And you know what happened to Francois? He froze. He never saw that configuration and all of the training that he had. He didn't know what to do. But he was a smart guy. You know what he did? He ran. That's right. That's what you do in times like that. And again, it all ties back together to trend forecasting, because that's what this is all about. You know, there's a saying about, and we talked about it before, you know, I was in Norway doing a speech, an innovation conference in Ålesund. And it was when everybody was talking about think outside the box. There is no box. But when you're locked into a form, there's a box. And in close combat, there is no box. So, through Marie-Pierre, John Perkins goes to France. And again, it's all tied together. It's thinking freely. No preconceived notions of how it should end or how it should begin, just how it should finish. So, John, tell the story about France.
Basically, it was a great time. I got to spend a whole week on the Ile Saint-Louis, one of the greatest times of my life. And I got to go to the Palais, the palace, and was fed 7-course meals. And between the meals, I got to work with these incredible bodyguards. The conditioning was unbelievable. What they had told me, I said, what is the essential methodology that you guys use to keep people at bay? And the thing was that they have to stand and deliver, and they can't let anyone pass them. So they can't just do an Aikido move, let anyone pass them to get to Jacques Chirac. So what they would do is every day they would do these dips, and they'd have like 50 pounds or 100 pounds on their waist and do like 20 dips. So they said, develops our punching power. I said, well, that's interesting. That's very muscular. Do you ever consider using your whole body in a thing called dropping force, you know? And they didn't understand what I meant. So I demonstrated for them. Not the tricky thing from Bruce Lee where you put your hand against the body, you kind of push them a little bit, then you pull your hand back like this. That's not 1 inch. They called it the 1-inch punch. That's like how many inches? And then they're pushing you through. So I showed them what to do with, I called the no-inch punch. We just dropping your body weight. Looks just like that. So I would take all 3 of these guys and knock all 3 of them into each other. And they go right off their feet. And they go, always America seems to be ahead. And that was exactly what they said. I was like, yes, of course, America. You know, that kind of a feeling. So they became, I got their attention. I showed them how to use these extended PR-24s in, for them, a radically different way, which was far more effective than just striking. It's a way of holding it, something that I'd have to demonstrate, but not for here, anyway. That brought up their ability to keep people from getting past them, like a 300% increase. So it would give it a percentage or something like that. They were just blown away. Then I showed them other techniques to keep your line, to keep people repelled so they can't get past the line, how to use 2 people together to maybe move 4 people at the same time, and to be effective and not necessarily deadly. You know, just drop people without killing them, which is, you know, the way they would have to hit. And you could punch somebody 1,000,000 times sometimes, they won't stop. But if you drop them and you stop their movement and they go landing backwards into the crowd or whatever it is, it gives you that time to now regroup, protect your principal, and they take him away as you're doing your movement. So they really were appreciative of that. And I appreciated all that French food. But the guys, they all were dressed as American Texans. I mean, they had cowboy boots and jeans, and they're in the palace. They're, you know, off duty, of course, and they all looked like Americans, except they had these big French accents. So it was really quite a lot of fun. And my girlfriend at the time, she was having a great time because she studied French and she got to use it. And to be in the palace, to be able to tell people that you're there, you know, and spend a week in Paris, you know, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, so as I said, you know, trend forecasting is multi-dimensional.
Yeah.
And again, you know, I wouldn't be the guy I am and do what I do or speak out the way I do.
And I wouldn't have been in France.
And he wouldn't have been in France at the Palace. It wasn't for me.
That's right.
Well, Marie-Pierre, well, she's great. And we're still friends. But again, it's the message is really, it's being free to be free. And being free to think beyond the bounds. There are no bounds. The only bounds that you set are the ones in your mind. And it's a bad trip. It'll get you nowhere. But once again, and I can't emphasize it enough, I get out there and you hear me every day, and I call these guys out. And I say it often. Hey, if John the Slime Corzine, the guy that stole my money out of MF Global, here they come. Well, as I was saying, Jesus. If he had a problem with what I'm saying, we could come over here and talk about it. I don't like these guys playing the tough guy, that they won't stand up in front of you and say what they're going to say. So when I call out these politicians and these mass murderers and these thieves from the Goldman Sachs gang and the Merrill Lynch mob or the Deutsche Bank bandits, I'm talking to them. And I'll back up my words. And I back up my words because of what John Perkins taught me. I'm not here for anybody else's psycho trip. And as I see it, neither should you be. Because nothing is going to change until you change. Till you have the power to stand up and speak out and not look up to anybody who doesn't deserve it. Look up to yourself. You can appreciate people for what they have that you don't, but you don't look up to anybody. So this is Gerald Celente and John Perkins. And before we say goodbye, anything else, John?
Nothing more to add. Just be true to yourself. First a warrior, or all else is folly.
So there you got it. This is Gerald Celente, and that's some of today's trends in the news.
Listen to a story about a gal I know. She's my music making mama, I'm her hillbilly beau. She's sweeter than the music when she tickles the strings, sweeter than the flowers down in New Orleans. She's my music making mama from Memphis, Tennessee.
There's a hideout in the depths of Harlem. It's a sizzling red hot rendezvous, where the folks about town all gather round, high hats from the avenue. Every night till break of day, cats all idle time away. Down at Joe's where crowds are gay and the jive is jumping.